Another day, another review. If you haven't heard the news, Panasonic is back, baby, and so am I. Today, it's the Panasonic W95A, a mini LED model rounding out the Panasonic releases of 2024. The W95A is a brighter TV, with worse contrast performance than the OLEDs, or at least that's the typical narrative. But is the W95A all that typical? Hi, I'm Abby from Rtings.com, and I'm about to tell you if Panasonic's new LED TV is worth your money. We'll start with the good news. This TV's contrast is outstanding. With local dimming enabled, the TV displays deep blacks that stay deep, even when brighter highlights are on the screen. Yeah, we've certainly reviewed plenty of TVs with even better contrast than this, but to the naked eye, this is extremely good, and most people will be quite happy with it. It also performs well when it comes to blooming, even if there's some noticeable blooming around bright objects on a very dark background. And when it comes to lighting zone transitions, they're decent, but the leading edge of fast-moving highlights is visibly dimmer. Overall though, the local dimming implementation on this TV is solid. Now for the bad news, especially for gamers. This TV has a strange quirk. You can't have both local dimming and VRR enabled at the same time. This is strange, as none of its direct competitors have that quirk. It certainly limits this TV's appeal to many gamers, as it means that you cannot get the best possible image quality on this TV. You either get outstanding contrast with tearing, or no tearing with substantially worse contrast performance. Alright, with that out of the way, let's talk about what's really working here. This is one bright TV. It peaks at more than 1500 nits on our test slides, and while it dips to 693 nits on a sustained 100% window, that's still extremely bright. It also performs well in our real scene tests, although perhaps not as well as it does on our slides. Either way, this TV is bright enough to deliver an impactful HDR experience. Plus, it's even brighter in game mode, although that's kinda hard to notice. This TV ain't just bright, it's also very accurate. While it isn't quite as accurate in HDR as its OLED counterparts, it's still great. Like on most LED TVs, blacks are slightly brighter than intended, and most content is a bit brighter than it should be. But unless you have eagle eyes, you won't notice any of this. It even rolls off with content mastered at 4000 nits to preserve details in those super bright highlights. If you like colors, you'll love this TV. It has a very wide color gamut, and it can display almost all of the DCI-P3 color space used by most content. Still, and prepare yourselves as we're about to nitpick here, the colors do tend to be a bit undersaturated, and aren't exactly what they should be. Greens are a bit too yellow, purples are a bit too red. You get the gist. It also covers less of the Rec 2020 color space, but that's to be expected. It's colorful, that's all there is to it. It's also capable of displaying these colors at high luminance levels, and it's also very good at displaying dark saturated colors, if local dimming is enabled, as without it, its ability to display dark colors is limited. Still, it's not perfect. As colors become brighter, their coverage decreases substantially. That means it can't quite display the full range of bright saturated colors. But hey, it's an excellent performance overall. You want a bright SDR TV? Well, then get this TV, because it is indeed very bright. It's capable of sustaining up to 672 nits in our real scene SDR test, which again is likely to be way too bright for most people. You'll have to turn down the brightness a bit. It'll overcome glare in almost any room unless your room is also extremely bright. If it is, you might have some issues, as its reflection handling is just decent. It's pretty good at handling glare from ambient lighting, but it struggles with glare coming from direct sources of light. But if you place it in a way to avoid bright lights or windows directly opposite it, then you're good to go. Oh, and don't get this TV if you're planning on hosting large viewing parties, as its viewing angle is very inadequate. To be fair, if you really want to host parties, you'll likely want an OLED, as they're truly the only TVs out there with outstanding viewing angles. Still, some LEDs do perform better here, but not the W95A. Alright, Panasonic, what's going on here? Your two OLEDs are so darn accurate in SDR, but this TV is just disappointing. Reds are overrepresented in all shades of gray, so this TV's color temperature is much warmer than it should be. There's some inaccuracies with whites and lighter colors, and brighter scenes are too bright. We've seen worse accuracy than this, but any purist will want to calibrate this TV for the best performance. Okay, So for gamers, we already talked about the unfortunate situation with VRR and local dimming. But aside from that, it's a pretty good TV for gaming, as its response time is great. It has low input lag, and it supports 4K at 144 Hz on 2 HDMI ports. It's unfortunate that you must trade off picture quality in the form of local dimming if you want to use VRR, since it kind of defeats the point of buying a TV in this price range for gaming. So let's end this by talking about the main event. The processing. Why the main event? Well, because Panasonic's OLEDs truly excel here, especially in their upscaling, and it has the TV world buzzing. And guess what? We have the same processing performance on the W95A. Its upscaling is truly special and could very well be the best upscaling in the business now, although Sony is right up there with them. If you like to watch low-resolution content, Panasonic has you covered this year. It will truly make your old-school DVDs sing. When it comes to HDR gradient handling and low-quality content smoothing, it does a good job overall, but here it won't set the TV world on fire. There's some noticeable banding in all grays, and it doesn't smooth out as much macro blocking from low bitrate content as we'd like. But overall, this TV's processing is solid. So, should you buy the Panasonic W95A? Probably not. The W95A competes directly with TVs such as the Sony BRAVIA 7, but the BRAVIA 7 is superior to the Panasonic in most ways. It generally offers better image quality due to its noticeably higher peak brightness in HDR and SDR, alongside better contrast and a better local dimming implementation. It's also more accurate in SDR and HDR. And of course, it doesn't have that local dimming and VRR quirk that the W95A has. When it comes to image processing, the BRAVIA 7 matches the W95A in upscaling, while doing a better job with low bitrate content and when cleaning up any banding in HDR. But the real challenge for the W95A and any mid-range or even high-end LED TV is the Hisense U8N and the TCL QM8. Both TVs outperform the W95A while being sold at a significantly lower price point. They both have far better contrast, with a better local dimming solution than the W95A. They're also significantly brighter TVs in HDR and SDR, and they're even more accurate in SDR. And with their significantly better reflection handling, perhaps you could put the QM8 and the U8N on your rooftop. You shouldn't do that, please don't do that, that was a joke. But outside of upscaling, both TVs outperform the W95A when it comes to processing. So, ouch. So you could get the W95A and you'd be happy with it. But there are better options. That's it for our coverage of the new Panasonic TVs. What do you think? Are you gonna get any of them? Be sure to tell us if you do. We have a few more Panasonic videos coming up, including an upcoming comparison with the LG C4. Juicy. Until next time, I'm Abby from Rtings.com, where we help you find the best product for your needs. One bright TV. It peaks on more, there we go. There we go. Greens are a bit too yellow, purple's, image quality, purpose. My purpose is red, like Rtings.